How's it going, Yankee fans? I'm pretty sure I know how you're doing. Pretty damn freaking good this morning. Juan Soto is a New York Yankee, guys. We have been talking about this. If you've been listening to Fireside Yankees for months, we've been talking about the idea of a player of this magnitude changing the course of this organization in 2024 and hopefully beyond that. 25 years old, 3 consecutive years of 150 games minimum played, including all 162 games played this past season. You wanted durability? Well, you freaking got it. Juan Soto is here, baby. This is exactly what this team needs. He's one of the best hitters with runners in scoring position in the game, and now you get to put him alongside Aaron Judge. And we're going to talk about this outfield, how this outfield has taken steps forward that we couldn't have even imagined in one offseason. Alex Verdugo didn't see that coming. He's a good option to play left field. We're going to talk about his offensive upside and what this outfield has become after last year's starting unit. Aaron Judge in center, Giancarlo Stanton in right field, and Oswaldo Cabrera in left. I can comfortably say I think we've got a little bit better of a unit this upcoming season. And for what it's worth, a player that is ridiculously durable and is a Hall of Fame level caliber bat at 25 years old, guys. Do you know how rare it is to be able to acquire Hall of Fame level players in the middle of their prime? This kid is 25 years old, man. He is not even close to even sniffing the back end of his prime. He has 5, 6, 7 years left at the top of his game, and we're getting him at the peak of it, at the peak of just the middle of his prime. This is gorgeous. It's beautiful. I couldn't be more ecstatic. Yankee Stadium, man. Give me the freaking price for the chicken buckets because you goddamn well know I'm paying for it. So, Ryan, how are you feeling today? I know you guys did a live stream last night, reacted to everything, but now it's the morning after. You really get to soak it in. You really get to realize, holy crap, like this Juan Soto was a freaking New York Yankee. I know you're excited, but how are you feeling right now about it?
I'm feeling amazing, right? Looking at the New York Yankees lineup with Juan Soto in it, it's unbelievable, right? You know, the Yankees have not had a left-handed hitter put up a WRC plus above 150 since 2002. I wasn't born for that. So Yankees have not had a qualified hitter as good as Juan Soto from the left-handed side consistently in quite some time. Even Robinson Cano never got to that level of where Juan Soto's been consistently for his entire career. So, you know, the Yankees are getting a hitter that changes their lineup. They're getting one of the best players in all of baseball. They're getting a guy who, you know, you hit him next to Aaron Judge, and that lineup is going to be special. That lineup is going to, they're going to be great, right? Like, I know that people have concerns about what the rest of the lineup looks like, but I'm sorry, once you have Judge and Stanton in there, the rest of the lineup just kind of figures itself out, right? You have two of the best hitters in the world. It's that simple. Those two guys are going to account for too much production for this team to really end up being bad offensively. Personally, I do feel as if the New York Yankees, are going to need to go out and get pitching, obviously, right? Like they traded a ton over the last few days, but they've gotten 3 left-handed outfielders in the span of 24 hours. That those 3 outfielders all have different skill sets. I mentioned this on the live stream, right? Where it's like, okay, Grisham is a 4th outfielder, sure. But he is a better 4th outfielder than what we had with IKF last season. And looking at the bench, you have Oswald Peraza, you have Oswaldo Cabrera, you have Trent Grisham, you have Jose Chirino. All 4 of those guys, provide something, right? We didn't feel that way necessarily with Jake Bauers in the outfield, especially once he started struggling with the bat. Franchi Cordero didn't really provide that, right? Outside that first, 2 weeks basically where he was hitting everything, he kind of fell off the cliff in terms of value. The Yankees have a bench that each of those guys provide something value-wise or have a platoon matchup in which they look pretty good in. So, the team is deeper. The team has more depth. The lineup is elongated by just having Judge and Soto. It takes so much pressure off of the rest of the guys. If you're Giancarlo Stanton, if you're Anthony Rizzo, you no longer have the pressure of being Aaron Judge's running mate. You have the pressure of just getting back to where you need to be so that you can, continue to play your career and continue to have a starting role. For Rizzo, this is a potential walk year for him because the Yankees have control over his 3rd-year option. For Stanton, the addition of Trent Grisham indicates to me that they have insurance built in if Stanton is either hurt or does not pan out. I kind of mentioned this on the podcast, wanting insurance for Giancarlo Stanton. Well, he just got it, right? I was a little bit worried they wouldn't. I was a little bit worried that they would try to rely on him too much. I know Grisham isn't a great hitter, but, if Stanton, let's say, goes down, you can now do an outfield of Grisham in center field, Verdugo in left field, and then split Judge and Soto at right field and DH. And that's still a very competitive outfield. That's still, Alex Verdugo's probably right around a solid player at, I'm not going to say he's much better than that. Grisham's one of the best defensive center fielders in baseball. That alone gives him enough value to be a starting center fielder on any team. And then, of course, Aaron Judge and Juan Soto are 2 of the best players, in the world. So they can lose Stanton and they can still be a competent team. And that's something they couldn't do last year, or in years past. Another angle of this, we were getting a lot of questions about this on the live stream. What do you do with Jason Dominguez? I like that that's a question. I like that we're sitting here and saying we only need Jason Dominguez to come back and be a major league starter right away if the team doesn't have the depth, or if the team is struggling, right? If the team is playing well, they're not going to rely on Jason Dominguez. Hell, you could end up still losing a guy like Stanton and not need Jason Dominguez, because if Grisham is about as good as he was last year, and if Verdugo is, about as good as his projections say it could be, which is a 108 WRC plus, and if Judge and Soto are what they've been their entire career, you still don't need Dominguez to factor in there, right? So I think that's the biggest thing here. You don't need to rely on Jason Dominguez to come back from Tommy John surgery and be great. You don't need to rely on Giancarlo Stanton to stay healthy all year. Those are things that we've historically had to rely on, and that's just a different feeling, and this changes everything.
It really freaking does, man. I mean, look, last year's outfield was a rotation of cheese, man, just stinky old cheese, and I ultimately feel as though right now we have rebuilt not only the starters, but the depth as well. And Trent Grisham, look, he is a good depth piece. Do you want him starting? Not necessarily, but he's a fine depth piece. Giancarlo Stanton can go into right field sometimes, move, Judge into the DH spot. You can have Verdugo go over and play center. You can move Soto to left field for a game or two here and there, or put Stanton there. He's maybe a better defender. Like, there's things the Yankees can do, right? There's a lot of flexibility now for what the Yankees can do to align their outfield properly. However, you referenced, Verdugo, you referenced a lot of these guys. Look, Trent Grisham, Verdugo, and Soto are all lefty bats. They got 3 lefty bats. Brian Cashman said they wanted to get 2. Ended up with 3. They have the 2 big righties in Judge and Stanton. So, and let's talk about Stanton for a second here, because he's an element of this outfield that is kind of being disregarded now, and I think this is good for him. I actually think Stanton being disregarded is the best possible thing for his mental state, because last year we were depending on him. When Judge went down, we were expecting Stanton to pick up the slack, to be the guy, and he wasn't. He could not handle it. I don't know if it was mental. It seemed like he was lacking confidence at times, but what I like about the situation at hand right now is that Stanton, the pressure's off of him now. He doesn't need to feel that level of, pressure to perform. All the attention's going to be on Judge and Soto at the top of the order. If you have Stanton in the 6th hole, batting behind Gleyber Torres and Rizzo's batting cleanup, think about what that does for his psyche. He now feels as though I don't have to produce at the top half of the order. I don't have that feeling of if I fail, it's all on me. And I think that's actually good for him. I actually think that it promotes the possibility of a bounce back, because the hostility, the negative attention, everything has been really bad for him over the last couple years. And I do think that ultimately this is going to give him the opportunity to step up and start to get back to where he was. Because I do think that, when you look at his actual volume of work, the injuries obviously have derailed him at times. The bat speed was a tick down, but his hard hit percentage, his slugging metrics were pretty much the same as they always were last year. Like, his slugging quality has not decreased. It's the bat speed and the chase rate has obviously been a bit problematic. Ryan, when you look at Stanton, obviously he can play the outfield sparingly. I'm not going to be putting him in there every day. He can play every other day maybe, or just have him feature and give some guys days off. Use him as that kind of supplementary piece. He actually really is your best depth piece in the outfield, because now you could just have him plug the positions you want to give a day off to Judge or Verdugo or Soto, obviously, and have them DH. How do you think Stanton gets back in here and performs at a high level? Because if you get 2021 Giancarlo Stanton and you have Soto and Judge healthy, this batting order is going to be freaking scary. Like, I would, the first time Paranormal Activity scary when I was a kid, seeing that shit scared the absolute G's out of me. That's the level of scary this freaking lineup could be. How do you think Stanton gets back on track and aids this outfield?
Yeah, so I think one of the big things that comes up from this is the lack of pressure to immediately be the second best hitter on the New York Yankees. That's gone, because the second best hitter on the Yankees is, it's either Juan Soto or Aaron Judge, right? Like, those two guys are going to duke it out for the top hitter on the team, which I think is just, it's a privilege and an honor that I can't even, it's something that I can't even wrap my head around. But again, looking back at, Giancarlo Stanton here, Aaron Boone mentioned he's trying to lean out a little bit, get a little lighter, be a little more mobile in the outfield. I certainly believe that would definitely help the Yankees' versatility defensively, keep some guys off their feet, and help them a lot in that regard. And as you mentioned, if they get a 2021 version of Giancarlo Stanton, you couple that with, Juan Soto, you couple that with Aaron Judge, you couple that with the year we saw from Gleyber Torres last season, that team is special, right? That team's really good. I think that there's going to be pressure on a lot of these guys, right? I've seen some people kind of throw around the notion of the walk-year Yankees, right? Like you have Verdugo, you have Gleyber, you have Soto, all of them looking to get paid this offseason, or next offseason, excuse me. And Rizzo as well is in that equation. So, if these guys want to get paid, they're going to have to go up. They're going to have to go out and, put up some big time numbers. So, I think there is pressure to perform from just a career standpoint, but from a, need to help Aaron Judge standpoint, that guy's there. The heavy lifting has been done. Stan has been, objectively not a good player over the last year and a half. Is that going to change this year? We'll have to wait and see. Aging curves would suggest it shouldn't. Aging curves would suggest that this is a massive red flag. But the Yankees don't really have a choice, right? They have to rely on Giancarlo Stanton, or at least they have to, I wouldn't say rely, but they have to see what he has left in the tank. Hopefully he bounces back to where he was a couple years ago. But again, as I alluded to earlier, the pressure, or from the Yankees' perspective, the insurance clause for if Stanton is not healthy enough or capable enough to be the player the Yankees need him to be, they have everything in place to make sure that they're ready to handle that. It's not something that they've historically had. And, they get more left-handed when they do that. So, I'm not saying that Trent Grisham in the lineup is better than having Stanton in the lineup. I think that, ideally Stanton hits well enough to be in the lineup every day. But with that being said, you can run out lineups with 5 lefties. And it's not like it's, Franchi Cordero is one of them. It's, actually competent left-handed hitting. And then you're looking at the younger guys, right? Like, let's look at Anthony Volpe, Austin Wells, Oswald Peraza. Less pressure to perform. I know that Aaron Boone, or I believe it was Brian Cashman or Aaron Boone, one of them named DJ LeMahieu the starting third baseman. I know Cashman confirmed that, second, short, and third are pretty much covered. But Peraza has an opportunity to play his way into the lineup. There are a lot of guys who are going to have to play their ways into or on to stay on the lineup. And I think that's huge. There's no guaranteed spots on this team outside Judge and Soto and Gleyber.
Exactly, and that's beautiful. And honestly, I was looking at it, Aaron Boone said Anthony Rizzo, and obviously talking about the infield now, but I just can't help myself. Talking about Anthony Rizzo a little bit and how he's 100% healthy. Guys, I fully expect Rizzo to be a very good player next year. Before that injury, my friends, Rizzo was killing it. He had a 162 WRC plus. He was absolutely on fire before getting kneed in the head by Tatis. The first month and a half of the season, Rizzo was our best player. He was our best hitter. He was performing even better than Judge in some regards. So, looking at what Rizzo can do as a fully healthy player, I really like him in that 4-hole. I really like him in that cleanup spot. You have so much power in Soto and Judge right ahead of him. I think that you can afford to have that level of Rizzo's on-base percentage, high batting average. He'll hit home runs. Stanton, obviously the home runs are there, but his lack of on-base percentage does concern me. I don't want to leave Soto and Judge on base all the time because there's a lot of situations where those two guys are going to get walked back to back. You know what I mean? You're going to see Judge and Soto on base with 1 out, depending on what happens in the leadoff spot to start games. And if that's the case, of course you may want Stanton there, but he also hits into a lot of double plays. So you kind of want a guy like Rizzo who's going to put the ball in the air, high batting average guy, gets on base a good amount, and when he's healthy, is a tremendous asset to this team. So, I'm really excited to see how the Yankees actually go about putting together their batting order because there's so much talent here. There's so much talent, guys. Anthony Volpe is going into his second year, and we know this kid is a workhorse. We know that he has a ridiculous work ethic. He may come back next year as a different player, straight up. He may come back as a much improved player. And the fact that people have him batting 9th in this lineup, just soak that in. The fact that we have people having him bat 9th in this lineup is such a good problem to have. Having a guy that good batting 9 is insane. Austin Wells, if he can hit for average, if he can hit 100 WRC plus at the catcher position, think about the value that brings to your lineup. Jose Trevino, I think his highest was 83 WRC plus in 2022. Having that level of offensive competency at the catcher spot is going to change the nature of this entire team as well. Last year, the perfect storm happened in the wrong way. This upcoming year, the perfect storm could happen in the right way. And if that's the case, the Yankees could have an offense that it breaks records, man. An offense that smashes all expectations, and they're already freaking high. So I'm curious to see, you know, what they do here. Obviously, the outfield much improved. 2 lefty bats, really good durability, and Ryan, that's the one thing I'll hammer home as the last part of this video. Guys, Soto played 162 games last year, and Verdugo played over 140. You know what I mean? Judge, you know, out of the last 3 years, has not played less than 100. Obviously, the toe injury was a freak accident. He'll probably play over 130 games, too. You have an outfield that plays a minimum of 130 games next year, knock on wood. Think about what that does for your team, you know, let alone the infield and how competent they are when they're all firing on all cylinders. A team that is winning, a team that is succeeding, it makes everybody better. You know, everyone's going to get better if this team is succeeding. So I'm really excited to see how they go about this and strategically, you know, putting together the batting order. But guys, always happy to hear perspectives below in the YouTube comment section. I know you're as happy as we are. I know you're as excited. Drop your batting order down below. Would love to hear what you guys think about where they should hit. Definitely have some good conversation. And obviously, we have some really good content coming out. Ryan's going to be interviewing an MLB insider later this afternoon, so make sure to tune in for that as well. Lots of good stuff. It's going to be really fun. A lot of scoops coming. So you're going to get all your news here on Fireside Yankees. As always, appreciate the love. Make sure to like and subscribe. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.